I can't let anyone see me. Only my husband is allowed. Please, I need peace. I need to stay strong for my baby. I've never shown my face to a stranger. Not now, not ever.
I've seen hundreds of women give birth, but nothing could have prepared me for her. She was in labor, screaming in pain, yet completely calm. She refused a male doctor, and what happened next changed everything I believed about medicine, faith, and healing. I had been working as an OB-GYN in a large hospital in the US for nearly 8 years, and by that point I had seen almost everything: complicated births, fear, joy, screaming, panic, relief. After so many years in delivery rooms, nothing really shocked me anymore. But then came that one day that shook something inside me. A young Arab woman came in with her husband. She was clearly in labor, breathing through strong contractions, sweating, tired, but there was something different about her. She wasn't panicking, she wasn't shouting, she wasn't losing control. She stayed quiet, focused, steady, almost peaceful in the middle of all that pain, and that calm strength really caught my attention. Hours passed and my shift was almost over, so I walked to her bedside to let her know that another doctor would take over. That's a normal routine. The moment I said the word doctor, her expression changed instantly. She started crying, not from labor pain, but from something deeper, something emotional. Her husband stepped forward gently and said, "She doesn't want a male doctor. In our faith, she has never shown her body to any man except her father, her brothers, and me. She hasn't even shown her face to a stranger." I stood there stunned. Half joking, half shocked, I said, "I don't think there's a man left in America who hasn't seen my face." But she wasn't being dramatic. Her tears were real, and something inside me moved. Without thinking too much, I decided to stay. I called home, told them I'd be late, and worked 2 more hours just to help her deliver safely. When her baby finally arrived, healthy, safe, beautiful, the gratitude in their eyes was unlike anything I had felt in years of practice. Their thank you wasn't routine. It was sincere, deep, and it touched me in a way I couldn't explain. The next day, she stayed on my mind. I went to check on her, and we talked about recovery, healing, her baby, and somehow we ended up talking about culture. I told her how many women in America suffer infections and complications because of early intimacy after childbirth. She smiled softly and said, "In Islam, the husband cannot touch his wife for 40 days after childbirth. It's a time for her body to heal." I froze. How could a religious teaching from 1,400 years ago match medical science so perfectly? While we were talking, a pediatrician walked in and said casually, "It's best to let the baby sleep on his right side. It helps with breathing and heart rhythm." Before I could even respond, the husband said gently, "Yes, we do that. It's the tradition of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him." And that was the moment something truly shifted inside me. I had spent years studying science, research, data, and here were teachings from centuries ago aligning perfectly with things modern medicine is just now confirming. That night I couldn't sleep. I opened my laptop and searched for Islamic centers nearby. I needed to know more. I took a month off work and stayed in a city with a large Muslim community. I walked into the Islamic center with a notebook full of questions and a little doubt, but they didn't judge me. They welcomed me warmly, like family. I met Muslims of every background: Arabs, Africans, Latinos, converts, doctors, mothers, students. They answered every question with patience, logic, and evidence. No pressure, just clarity. I read about prayer, charity, modesty, discipline, and the balance between body and soul. I read verses in the Quran describing the development of the embryo in a way that matched what I learned in medical school. How could that be coincidence? After returning home, I kept learning with sisters from the mosque. One morning, sitting in my car before work, holding a small pamphlet, my heart was racing. My hands were shaking, and quietly I whispered, "I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger." There was no thunder, no lightning, just peace, deep, quiet, undeniable peace. That night I couldn't sleep. I opened my laptop and searched for Islamic centers nearby because I needed to understand how these teachings could match modern medical knowledge so closely. I took a month off work and stayed in a city with a large Muslim community. I walked into the Islamic center with a notebook full of questions and a little doubt, but they didn't judge me at all. They welcomed me like I wasn't a stranger, but someone coming home. I met Muslims of every background: Arabs, Africans, Latinos, converts, doctors, mothers, students. They answered every single question with patience, logic, and evidence. No pressure, no forcing, just calm clarity that made me want to learn more. I read about prayer, charity, modesty, discipline, and the balance between body and soul. I studied verses from the Quran that describe the development of the embryo in detailed stages that match what I learned in medical school. The accuracy shocked me. How could someone, centuries ago, speak about fetal development with such precision? It didn't feel like coincidence anymore. After returning home, I stayed connected with a few sisters from the mosque who kept guiding me gently. They sent me books, videos, and explanations, and I found myself reading more about Islam than I had ever read about anything in college. One morning, sitting in my car before work, I held a small pamphlet they had given me. My heart was beating fast, and my hands were shaking. I felt something pulling me forward, and quietly, without anyone watching, I whispered the words, "I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and Muhammad is his final messenger." There was no thunder, no flash of light, but there was peace, a deep, steady, quiet peace that settled into my heart in a way nothing else ever had. And in that moment, I knew my life had changed forever. Before I end this story, I want to ask you something real. No matter where you're from or what you believe, if you ever came across a teaching or tradition from another faith that matched science in a surprising way, would you pause and explore it, or would you move on? Tell me honestly in the comments. What's one thing you've learned that made you stop and think, maybe there's more to this than I realized? I'm really curious to hear your thoughts.